It's a damp track as MotoGP comes to round 3 at the Circuit of the Americas here in Austin, Texas. Dry tyres are out there at the moment, but we've got tricky conditions, a damp circuit. Who knows what's going to happen as we enter Sprint Saturday. Hello everyone, welcome to free practice number 2 for the MotoGP. Sorry we're a few minutes late on air. We had a problem with our satellite connection to the circuit, switching over from World Superbikes to MotoGP. It took a little bit of a time to log in and get all the data sorted, but we're back with you now, and we are 26.5 minutes to go in this session. You've missed absolutely nothing. The riders are on their first lap times now. Everyone out there on the slick tyres. The only one on a soft front is Somcat Chantra and Firmin Aldeguer, and they've gone for medium rear tyres. Everyone on medium front, medium rear by a couple of the riders you can see on your screen. So there's a few changes over as they come through. And welcome to everybody watching on JB Motorsports 2 and JB Motorsports Twitch. Reminder, at the end of this free practice 2 session, we'll be switching back to the main JB Motorsports YouTube channel. You will be automatically redirected for our qualifying stream. And those of you on Twitch, just stay where you are. You'll have a start waiting screen. And then we'll be back in for our main program of entertainment as well with our usual qualifying build-up. First lap times then coming through. In mixed conditions, lap time cancelled for the track limits for Alex Marquez and Somcat Chantra, Zarco. Then Marc Marquez. Again, Mark is faster than anybody. 2:04.614 in patchy conditions. We had a 2:02 yesterday, so it shows the level of difference that the track is currently at right now. There is a persistent change coming through. Aiguero to 5th, Di Antonio in 6th, Marini in 7th. As they change through. Bagnaia, though, up into 3rd position, so it's looking good. Salvadori, 15th, 2:07.840, again, changing up. Bagnaia, well, yeah, up to 3rd, 2:04.791, was fast in the first couple of sectors, but has since lost out on the overall time. Yellow flag in the first sector. And it's Aiguero who has crashed. Oh, and gone in big time. And this might have to be a red flag because the bike has ended up into the air fence. And if that's broken the air fence, then the session will have to be stopped. Aiguero is up and walking away. He is okay, but the bike is in the air fence. That might be a red flag. We'll see what happens. It's down at turn 2, so it's downhill. So I wonder if it's done the same as a Marc Marquez. We've gone to green at the moment. We'll see if it needs to be stopped in a few moments with that safer barrier. Marc Marquez already half a second up on his best time, but the conditions will improve. Let's take a look then at Aiguero. Out of the high at 1, drops down into turn 2, and the front just buckles underneath him. The Trackhouse rider, who Trackhouse at home soil here, just having a few technical difficulties, it seems, early on in the weekend. Marc Marquez, again, looking strong. He's 6/10 up in that first sector. Let's say hello, TNT Sports, while we get our systems operational.
We're always sort of figuring it out. So there's got great on board here. Is Mark going to have a look up the inside, or he's going to do his usual? He sort of sets it up into the last corner normally, so he's gone a bit wide there, look, to cut through and do the pass into the last corner. That's what he normally does, and he's done it again. That's just classic Mark.
On Pedro Acosta with that helmet design on. It's got like little sharks over the top, as you can see.
That was such a cool shot of Pedro adjusting his front brake. Did you see that coming out of the corner as well? The bike's wheeling, he's just been passed, and he, with his left hand, he was just adjusting his front brake. You've got the front brake adjuster there. You can just see him just doing that. John Mayer fastest, ladies and gentlemen.
That'll be the pep talk that Sylvain gave him last night when he was speaking to him. You know, we're going to hear, obviously, elements of that interview later on, but what was the general feeling you got back? Because you could mention with Joanne, you obviously helped him towards his World Championship, which is...
Yeah, I was going to say, I just gave him the exact same advice that I did back in 2020.
Which was?
It's a secret. I can't tell you.
Open the throttle a little bit earlier and brake later.
Yeah, that works normally. Yeah.
Pull the throttle back and go racing.
No, on a more serious note though, how good is it to see Honda back being competitive? They're second in the Manufacturers' Championship.
Are they?
How good is that? Yeah,
that's incredible.
It's unreal. They went from absolutely nowhere the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Riders crashing for no reason while being last. I mean, it was a disaster. And this year they've they found confidence. Everybody's smiling inside the box, and they are competitive again. They're not at the level of the Ducati yet, but they're doing good.
Yeah, they are getting there. You know when a motorcycle's bad, when their #1 rider forgoes a €15 million salary for the one season
Or more.
or more. Yeah, it's a grey area. It's between 15 and 20 million. Yeah. And elects not to ride that motorcycle.
To go ride a satellite bike elsewhere.
For next to nothing.
Yeah, it was great. We did have a great chat yesterday, and he was really open and obviously happy with what is going on.
What is he saying though? I need to know. Like,
Is he actually happy?
Been the big step.
Well, obviously he's not going to give us the exact details, but he kind of like hinted at it, which was interesting. You always have to read in between the lines, don't you, of the interviews, and we know these guys, so we can sort of like get a really good feel for what is actually going on, and it looks like they haven't changed that much. They've just tweaked and made small adjustments.
The fact is, though, it's like they've got a front end underneath them. And that's clear. And even here, he's gone second here.
He has got second. Bagnaia, an absolute stellar lap time at the moment as we welcome you back up to the booth. Time and time again, it is faster, more aggressive circuits, more aggressive time coming through as well. And that's kind of like what we like to see here at the moment as well. As it's a fifth. Mark is on a 202.552. Mia second, 203.128. DG third, Alex fourth. DG and Quadraro goes into fifth position. Already know as well with the Q1 and Q2 riders that are coming up shortly as well. We'll just get that full list for you as well to get the full rendition of exactly who's going to be where, when, and how. I've been invaded by an FIM logo on the side of my screen here. There we go. Just trying to get this new combox setup working. Good night. It's 3:20 p.m. in here in the UK. Over there in Texas, it's 10:20, so 5-hour time difference. But good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world on this one. And Mark is already up. A few spots of rain coming in the air as well, actually. So, yeah, that's going to be helpful, isn't it? As the progression goes on. Yeah, I've got the practice session. So, Q1, we'll see Quattararo, Binder, Bezzecchi, Ayagura, Marini, Fernandez, Rins, Bashini, Augusto Fernandez, Zarco, Chantra, and Salvadori. Whereas Q2 sees Marc Marquez, D'Antonio, Morbidelli, Alex Marquez, Aldeguer, Miller, Acosta, Vinales, Mia, Bagnaia as well going through. Sean says, Mark right now at the moment is turning back the clock to Aragon last year. He's dominating this. If he gets pole position, it's 3 poles in a row he'll have, and that is sheer brilliance. Lap time cut short for Bagnaia. Oh, look, Mark's run wide at turn 2 as well, so that's going to be his lap time sort of gone for a while. As we're taking another look back. Yeah, just a small little change at the rear of the bike as well. Now, pole time here last year was a 2-minute .864. We're on a 2:02.345 on a damp track, mind. Mark yesterday, in the best of the conditions, did a 2:02.929. So already we are faster than yesterday. But this is the only running we've got on what is realistically a proper dry track going into the weekend, because it's going to be damp here, there, and everywhere throughout it. So watch out for a tricky, difficult weekend, especially in the Tissot sprint later on. And everyone just sitting up down at turn 12 as well, making sure that they're okay. 13 and 14 come through. Wonderful circuit this, wonderful track action, and really sort of an oomph you need for MotoGP action. For some reason the Moto3 logo has been put on the circuit information instead of the MotoGP, so whoever's doing the graphical information this weekend in Dorna needs to have something changed, as we now watch Digi going through turn 12 and gets it through okay. Let's head back over to TNT.
Superbike there.
2014, yeah. So when Gigi Dall'Igna went from Aprilia to Ducati, that was the end of 2013. And then I was at Aprilia in World Superbikes 13 and 14. So 2014 was with Romano Albesiano, yeah.
There was something Jack Miller told me at the start of the season about, obviously Pramac had made the switch to Yamaha this year. got an very experienced crew chief in Giacomo Guidotti alongside, who's been in Honda as well. But he said at the start of the season, obviously, Yamaha have got a satellite team back, and you know, they have to work differently. And he said that they were being given parts, and in the past, what would happen with a satellite team with Yamaha is they'd drop the parts off, they'd give you the instructions once, then they take the instructions away, and you just sort it out. And Max Bartolini's down there saying, no, leave the instructions, leave the data, leave the information. This is our team, this is us now. We're all working together, we're all working for one goal. Bit of frustration with Alex Marquez there, from Pedro and Jack.
I don't know where that started.
Yeah.
That started somewhere way back.
Yeah.
That's probably half a lap back.
But the fact is, yeah, Yamaha are having to educate themselves, or is Max Bartolini trying to put in a more collaborative atmosphere, and it's clear that that's happening at Honda too.
It is about sharing data, sharing the feedback from the riders, sharing the ideas of the engineers, and trying to, you know, grab those marginal gains and make step forward. So it's great that the Japanese manufacturers are opening up like that.
He's got a watch like yours, Sylvain, as Jorge Martin. I think he's might be a real one, though.
Jorge down here this weekend in Austin. Said he wanted to come over, see how the team was working. He's expecting to have a try in Qatar, not expecting necessarily to complete the weekend, but expecting to give it a go over in Doha in a couple of weeks' time. And he just wanted to get a feel for how the team work on a race weekend, and he'll be bored stiff though. He'll be bored stiff and frustrated watching on.
It's
I'm
the
sure.
worst thing ever. When you're injured, you come to a race, you watch everybody ride, you can't do anything about it. You know it's going to take forever for you to, or a long time for you to be fit again, and you just really want to go home. It's a horrible feeling, isn't it, Neil?
Yeah, it is the worst when you're injured. And I'm sort of surprised how honest he's been this weekend with the journalist. Journalists, I don't know how you guys feel, he's been really saying that mentally he's struggling with his injury.
Well, he showed that on his social media feed, didn't he, when he put out the post last week about...
I missed all that, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so he put something out himself, talking about the injury, saying he's found it really tough and had a lot of doubts, but feels like now he's going in the right direction. He said it to our Nat yesterday when he was speaking to her about, you know, about the hope of coming back, but still there's no firm expectation on how it's going to perform, because he doesn't want to ride a bike, he doesn't want to have another crash again trying to see if he's fit enough.
It sounds like it's still very weak. He doesn't even know if the weakness in the wrist is the fact that he broke his radius in 3 places and his scaphoid, so he doesn't know which part of it is causing the lack of strength. What I've learned over the years, having had 2 operations on my scaphoid, is it is the scaphoid. Whenever you've got lack of strength, it just, that bone, it takes away all the power from your wrist.
And it will take time. It will take a lot of time for it to feel comfortable, for it to feel right. Joe Roberts, who's been having this since Phillip Island last year, I spoke to him this morning, and it's still just niggling away. He's there strapping up this morning in the medical centre. And it's a similar kind of thing that Jorge's going to be going through every single time. The braking forces on a MotoGP machine, somewhere like here, stopping from 220 miles an hour, or more than 220 miles an hour, down to a first gear hairpin.
And the riding position as well. I mean, nowadays, it was all right back in your days, Neil, but nowadays they actually put their wrist on top of the bars. They hang their bodies inside the corner.
That's like I did. You did that, didn't you?
Like I did.
I thought you were hanging the other side.
Oh yeah, I did. I went the wrong way, didn't I?
No,
you saw right. You saw it.
They've got the hand on top, and they need to sort of bend the wrist in a really awkward way.
And Jorge's one of the most extreme in doing so.
Yeah.
You look at him in that famous photos in Barcelona, just how he contorts his body to get his shoulders down.
But his wrist, you have to have maximum flex in your wrist.
Mobility.
Mobility. I cannot do that with my wrist. I'm not trying to be funny.
To achieve that kind of position, you need to be very flexible.
Yeah.
And obviously that kind of injuries won't make the wrist super stiff.
You're so right on that. And his particular riding style, because Marquez, for example, is less extreme.
Yes.
In those kind, and that sounds ridiculous to say, but he is. He has a different riding style to some of the newer school.
Do you know, I'd not thought that about the riding style. Actually, yeah, the
He'll be locked up. His wrist is going to be kind of locked up, and he won't have the same amplitude as before.
No.
So,
and if he does have restricted mobility in that wrist, which like I say, I have, and I know 90% of people that broke the scaphoid that have come back too soon, that have had the operations like I have, well, it's going to affect his body position so much, which is everything.
yeah.
Because that's your feel, that's your understanding. That's before we talk about the lack of power, lack of strength.
And before we talk about getting used to a new bike as well, he's had 10 laps on that bike before crashing into, what, 12 laps or something.
Just have a look at how things are. We're almost 20 minutes into this first dry session of the weekend. I say dry, I hesitate to say it just because there are still a couple of patches out there which you know, the rider's going to have to be a bit wary of. But Mark is on top by half a second from Joan Mir. I mean, brilliant to say that, isn't it? Morbidelli is third, on really good form at the moment, Frankie. Fabio Quartararo's there in fourth, with Jack Miller in sixth. And something Jack said, he felt this iteration of the Yamaha, he felt could work here around the track this weekend. And it looks, from what we've seen so far, it's doing all right.
It looks like the Yamaha from the start of the year, from the winter testing, it looks like it's just not quite working, or it's working really well. It's a really weird one. So in Sepang, Fabio Quartararo was supremely fast, time attack, race pace. He was in the top 3 and he was looking like really good for the start of the season. And then in Buriram, they sort of he disappeared. Jack Miller was qualified really well, and although he struggled at the end of the races with tyre wear, he was still he still had a decent pace. And then here, obviously Jack Miller is very good in that kind of conditions, but Fabio has been saying that. He's been saying it's difficult to sort of dial the bike in, and the window of operation is quite narrow. So I think for Yamaha it's a question of time before they put it all together. I think it's coming as well.
Just searching for that grip, isn't it? And that's what Fabio's saying. Almost they were misled by how much grip there was in Sepang after the shakedown test, and that's sort of misled them. We talk about it all the time. Testing's testing. You have to be careful. You have to be careful how much you read into it.
And there was a different spec front tyre as well in Sepang that Fabio really liked. So that could have been as well, you know, making the difference.
But I do feel like it's pointing in the right direction. And I think having Jack coming from the KTM, where he's been fighting a bike that's been bouncing his teeth out every single lap, he's seeing the positives in it.
Yeah, think about this, right? Think about last year. Think about Jack on that KTM. Did he ever look comfortable on it? How comfortable does he look on that Yamaha? It looks like he's been riding it for years. He looks like he's ahead of the bike. He's loving it, fast in all conditions.
You can actually see the front end moving around,
yeah.
And you can tell, obviously, he's got a proper feel for that bike. So it's nice to see Jack, you know, sort of, there's bikes where you just dial in naturally straight away and you just feel at home and you feel comfortable with your riding style, and it looks like Jack has clicked with the Yamaha straight away.
Think about this. When Jack signed for the Pramac satellite Yamaha team, did you think he would be clearly faster than Alex Rins straight away? Who obviously Alex Rins has now had...
Never mind about Fabio Quartararo. He's qualified in the first Grand Prix.
True.
I mean, you wouldn't have bet on that. That's the truth. I mean, Jack is a great rider, but you just wouldn't have bet against that for sure. So it's a big surprise.
It's a nice one.
A good one.
What about Aprilia? Where are we at the moment? Because, of course, let's not forget, a year ago, Maverick Vinales took this bike to the top step. It was the last non-Ducati win in MotoGP, nearly a year ago now, when we came here last year. Marco Bezzecchi, looked like there were positive steps in Argentina compared to where we were in Thailand, but then the start went all completely wrong for him there. Had a couple of messed up starts, had a problem with the engine temperature yesterday in the morning practice. The bike kept cutting out for him and Iagura, going to a kind of safe mode. Yeah,
it's not going well, is it?
I'll answer your question.
Well,
where are we at? I don't know. I don't know. It's really, you know what I'm like. I've got an opinion. I'm confused with Aprilia, so I feel like I can't tell you just yet. I need a couple more rounds. Obviously, you need the #1 rider back as well. So
but it's these rounds when they have performed well in the past, isn't it? Your Argentinas, your here in
at the moment,
the
it
USA.
just feels like what could have been, you know, because obviously with Jorge Martin on that bike, doing all the winter testing, competing as well within the team with Marco Bezzecchi. You know, when you got two riders in a factory team competing, there's a different dynamic. Bezzecchi is on his own right now.
But Agura's been showing.
Yeah, Agura's been showing, but it's different. You know, if Jorge Martin would have been there, they would have been a lot more. You know, the project would have like gone a lot more forward, I think. And yeah, so it feels really a shame that them injuries came in. And yeah, as regards to here, I was expecting them to be a little bit more competitive. I mean, I know Viñales produced like a fantastic ride last year. He rode really amazing. He made the difference. But Aleix Espargaro did all right as well, and that's one of his worst tracks. He doesn't really like this track, Aleix Espargaro. So the Aprilia was competitive here last year, but so far we're not seeing much. Not yet.
Still, that run down towards turn 12 on
horrible.
that back straight, it looks ripply still, doesn't it?
It is so ripply, isn't it?
And that's the riders saying it's improved.
Yeah.
But you can see it, the travel on the suspension, having to really work down into it.
Yeah, the problem is they hit the brakes into turn 12 from, like, say, over 220 mile an hour. The front forks bottom out, essentially. They're sat where you've got very little travel left. Then you go over the ripples, and that's only going to go one way then. That's going to go through the chassis, through the bike. You've no suspension because you are literally sat on the bottom, so very, very physical then for the riders, because you are fighting the bike in that area, and it just zaps the strength. And you end up where you've got it's similar into turn 1, turn 11, turn 12, turn 15's not quite as heavy braking. That's why this is such a physical track.
That's better.
Much better from Marco Bezzecchi up into 4th place. Good to see. Got Marquez on top, Mir on the Honda in 2nd, Morbidelli on last year's Ducati in 3rd, Bezzecchi on the Aprilia 4th, Costa on the KTM in 5th, and Quartararo on the Yamaha just been dropped to 7th as Luca Marini goes up into 3rd place.
Incredible.
But all the manufacturers were represented in that top 7. That's got to be encouraging.
I look at the top speeds. We've not talked about that so far this weekend, and we know the Honda was struggling with that in Argentina. And where have we got the first
Still
Honda?
slow. Still not that great as in speed.
Yeah, it's still slow. We've got Brad Binder. The KTM is really fast in the straight. It was in Argentina as well. It was the best two top speeds there. 341 here km/h. And the first Honda is, I can't even see it. Marini.
Yeah, Marini 15.
10, 11k slower.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite a lot.
What's that, about 7 mile an hour, 6 mile an hour?
Yeah.
And it's fun, interesting. So I've noticed that this year the KTM's been fastest through most of the, you know, when I glance at the speed traps, and it's the bike really struggling. You know, it's like they've not got the.
They must have a lot of power because aero-wise the bike looks really heavy. As in, like, it looks like there's a lot of wings going on.
Yeah, when you see it in pit lane, Silver, when you walk down there. You walk past all the bikes and you see all the wings and scoops, and
it's like a transformer.
Aero. You look at the KTM and it's literally like, I always look at the KTM, don't I think, it's like if a lottery winner was to design a bike, it's just like someone who's got a load of new money and just gone, well, can we not put a wing on top of that wing and next to that wing, and we can't have like a bat thing off the swinging arm, can we? Yeah, well, of course we can. You're a lottery winner. We've got loads of money. And it just looks over-engineered.
Alex Marquez about to put himself up into 2nd place, is he? Behind his brother again. There he goes. And this is a track that's not always served Alex well. And so if it starts to work around here, Luca Marini comes to the line. And across in 4th place. Another decent lap coming in from Marini, who took his first MotoGP podium here in 2023, if you remember.
Hey, if the graphics are right as well, he's with the medium front, medium rear, so that's like a sort of good for the race tomorrow.
Well, we're at sprint race distance now, 10 laps in. So if he's been on that all the way through, and
yeah, that means pace.
Bodes well, doesn't it? Hey, Honda have a great record here, of course, mainly because of Marc Marquez, but Alex Rins, let's not forget,
that's true.
On the LCR, just a strange track where strange things seem to work. Maverick Viñales up to 4th. Last year's winner has squeaked through into Q2 directly.
It is one of those tracks, though, where the rider can make the difference. I really like that.
I do.
You know, Mark does make the difference here. You know, just look at his record.
But it's not like a rider's track, like, say, like a Phillip Island or Argentina, we say, oh, the rider makes a difference.
No, it's
a track where it's a challenge.
Yeah. yeah, it's a real challenge. It's a bit quirky, it's difficult. There's loads of really slow corners, so you can make the difference with riding, and this is what Viñales did last year. Clearly, that's by a long way the most competitive he's been since the start of the year. And yeah, Alex Rins winning on the Honda, that was 2 years ago when the Honda was absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, that's true. And think about it as well. You don't use the ride height lowering device much around here. You don't use it on the back straight and then the front straight.
Yeah.
Because it's all action, the rest of it. So then that's tracks that are basic where you use the ride height device. It then comes down to which is the best bike, who's got the best engineers.
On board with Mark Marquez. Look at this now, down into turn 12. The braking zone here is huge.
Yeah, well, they get the 340 for the fastest kilometer per hour. So what's that in miles an hour? 215, something like that. So very fast. And corner is in first gear.
340 is 211. Okay, it is.
Check you out. You're calculating ahead. That's a good effort. I'm going to check that, actually. I'm going to recheck that. But yeah, it's a very slow hairpin and very bumpy, and so you just feel like you're just braking forever. You're on the brakes with the rear coming up and the bike's dancing around for ages. Yesterday it was bouncing around that much. Morbidelli's airbag went off.
Yeah.
But it was also flapping in the wind, wasn't it? Like his leather stick was
because of that. Yeah, the chute was flapping, and obviously the algorithm of the airbag ECU had detected some kind of anomaly and just went off.
Marc Marquez, another 202.7. I'm just having a look at some of his past laps. Obviously he improved it, but they've been consistently quicker than anybody else.
Yeah, his race rhythm looks really quick. Is Joan Zarco.
Onto the final corner for Zarco, up to 14.
He's going to have a big job in Q1. So yeah, he came off yesterday. Just was it 10 minutes to go, so wasn't able to improve, and he's got to go for Q1.
Yeah, and in that Q1 session, which is coming up next here, Fabio Quartararo, Marco Bezzecchi's in it with Brad Binder, Ayagura, who's had a crash in this session. Luca Marini is in that, so...
Oh, and Quartararo's jumped up as well a couple of minutes. If you're wondering where I've been very, very busy. Mainly I've been very, very busy because we've just got Mallory Dobbs into the Discord server, got her set up. Mallory will be joining me and Megan in the commentary box for the MotoGP America race tomorrow. So the Grand Prix, Mallory is with us as well. I'm looking forward to that. The ride, of course, in Moto America and the Women's Circuit Racing Championship this year, which kicks off in a few weeks' time. We'll be hearing from her in tomorrow's race. And don't know if she can make it for the sprint race or not, but we've opened it up for her as well. And also, it's going to be very difficult for me not to get through, but we are actually going to be promoting an OnlyFans because Mallory's main sponsor this year is OnlyFans, and you can follow her racing journey throughout the year on OnlyFans, and we'll have the link for you to follow her throughout the season as well. That's going to be a new one for me to get used to as well, but we've got OnlyFans American Racing and MotoGP as well, so it's a big sort of leap in to go forward. But yeah, Mallory Dobbs will be joining us in the commentary box this weekend. So, checker flag is out for the second practice session. Reminder, if you're on YouTube, we're going to be redirecting you to the main JB Motorsports channel for our qualifying coverage. Marc Marquez does a 202.335 come through then. He's 2/10 down, but he's still top with a 202.113. Alex Marquez second, and Maverick Viñales goes third. But how is it still the same 1-2 throughout this session? It's getting more and more insane. Coming into this one, how we're not having any differences, how it's still the same riders at the front of the field. Ducati Cup is not Superbikes, it very much is MotoGP, and it has been for a long time right now. Here comes Pecco Bagnaia, 12th at the moment, scraped through for Q1, so to Q2, didn't have to go through Q1, now puts himself his fast 202.860. So, times then are adjusted, ready for the conditions. Now we're going to have to go through Q number 1. That's coming up next as well, which is going to be a very interesting season. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. Morbidelli goes in 9th, and with that, Luca Marini's crashed the pits. That's it. Everyone's done it. So it's Marc Marquez from Alex Marquez, Viñales, Mir, Bagnaia, Marini, Quartararo, Di Giannantonio, Morbidelli and Acosta has your top 10. Then it's Bezzecchi, Aldeguer, Miller, Zarco, Raul Fernandez, Bassini, Agura, Binder, Rins, Augusto Fernandez, Chantra and Salvadori. That's your running order here, folks. And if you're watching us now on JB Motorsports 2, you're going to be redirected to the main channel for our qualifying coverage that'll kick off immediately. And for those of you on Twitch, you don't have to do anything. What a second practice. It's time for the real business to begin. We're ready for qualifying. That's coming up next.